Yo, what is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to episode 9, the final episode of Rogue Dehydrated Season 1. And yes, we had a very short Season 1, obviously, because the ban list was announced a very, very short way through our first season here. And, with the new ban list going into effect on the 7th, and me having a new build that is not playable on the DB ladder, until that date, I didn't want to continue grinding old formats, so we're just gonna call it here pretty much after this episode, and still in our attempts to actually get to 900 rating. And at the beginning of this video, to my pleasant surprise, we are 908 rating. Now you're probably wondering, wait a second, you were 893 in the last episode. How did you get to 900? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I played a Dragon Link player before this guy, and because I played all these matches tonight as I'm recording this, and he was playing Dragon Link, and he used Chaos Space and accidentally returned, he used Chaos Space and he actually returned the Chaos Space to the bottom, and then he just quit. And then it gave me 15 rating for that, which put me over. Or no, gave me like 15 rating for that. Something along the lines of that. 17, I'm not sure. But put me over the edge, and we're over 900, so I wanted to play one more to like get a natural 900 with an actual dub. And this is that game. My opponent, Scarface, 717 on 773 rating to our 908 rating. And let's go ahead and hop right into this. And remember, if you guys are enjoying the series, if you like my content, check out the ways to support the channel at the links below. So let's check out this rock, paper, scissors, shoe. And Rock Gang coming in clutch here. And we do obviously decide to take first. And let's check the opening hands here. They have, and I've played against another Dragon Link player, funnily enough. We have Wyvern Burster, Quick Launch, Celestial, Tracer, and Gamma to my Nib, Tekatomborg, Imperm, Wheel, and Ash Blossom. Tekatomborg being extremely loyal. Every other card in my deck being super shy, especially all the starters. As you can see, my option here is to just start with the Tekatomborg. My opponent was, saying, like, is he doing that on summon? On effect? I don't know, but he does let it go through. And that's going to spec out Duke. And I do have to discard, unfortunately, an Imperm here to go ahead and keep playing. And I rolled a 2. If you guys remember, last roll in the last episode was also a 2. DB hates me. I don't know what else to say. We're going to go ahead and link 2 into Rubber Band Shooter here, and we're going to go ahead and banish a 5. My opponent's going, I'm like, is this where the hand trap's going to be? And he's going to go ahead and decide to Gamma. Now, this is an interaction I've dealt with a lot, where I have Ash in hand, and my opponent tries to Gamma Rubber Band Shooter. And I've had this interaction a lot because I always play against my friend Tiny. Shoutouts to Tiny. On DB, we always run matches where he's on Dino and I'm on Speedroid. We always like to do that matchup for some reason. And he mains Gamma, I believe. And there's been a couple of times where I've gotten Gamma on the Rubber Band Shooter, and I've actually decided to Ash because of the way my hand was set up. And the reason I decided to Ash because I'm like, I know for a fact that the additional normal summon of Rubber Band Shooter is probably going to force the Gamma again. And that's completely fine because we have speed recovery in hand to keep playing. And that's usually when I would decide to Ash something like Gamma on Rubber Band Shooter. But in this instance, if I do Ash it, right, and I get, Marble Machine in my hand, if I use the additional normal summon effect, he's going to Gamma that, or he's going to Gamma the Marble Machine, and that just leaves me pretty much dead in the water. So obviously I decide not to do that, and the Gamma is going to go through. And we proceed right to the end phase because with Ash Nib in hand, those are not Speedroid cards. We cannot keep playing. Only if it was a Terror Top, right? So my opponent's going to normal summon Rocket Tracer. He's going to go ahead and normal respect the Striker Dragon. I'm going to let this go through. And Dragon Link is always a very slippery, tricky deck to try and deal with. Like if I have Ash, I'm thinking I'm like, hold it for a couple spots. Like sometimes ashing Striker Dragon is good. Denying them access to boot is very good sometimes because Boot Sector is such a strong card. Also ashing things like Ravine because they do have to, invest a discard to it. Ashing things like Chaos Ruler. All these things to take into account. You know what I mean? And he does have Quick Launch too. So his hand, I'm like, all right, his hand's got to be pretty okay. Then he's going to activate the Ravine. And he doesn't activate Ravine. And, you know, looking at his hand, I can see why. He doesn't want to ditch Celestial, obviously, because he wants to keep the DPE engine live. So I see this happen. I'm like, you know what? I take a moment to think. I'm like, if I Ash this, you know, that means he gets to potentially Chaos Ruler resolve. Because like, he already has the Tracer invested. He's already got, you know, the Boot Sector in hand. Like, because if he would have used the Ravine, I probably would have Ashed. Because that denies him Tracer access. But, like, he already has Tracer. So, like, at this point, I might as well just let it resolve. Because he's going to summon the Recharge, and I know it's coming next. There it is, the Chaos Ruler, and I know I'm going to Ash there. Because, like, stopping this is, like, that's a lot of gas you just, you know, denied them. Because they just load up the graveyard, Chaos Space, you know, Abso Router, tons of good stuff, just light and dark fodder, all that stuff. So hand traps like Nib or Veiler, and then he's gonna use Striker Dragon here, and then he's gonna target the Recharger, and the Recharger effect is going to activate summoning out the Tracer, and then he's gonna go ahead and banish a Dark, not Striker Dragon but Tracer, and he's gonna summon the Wyvern Burster. So I'm like, okay, so now that Nib is the last card in my hand, I have two options. He's either gonna make Savage Dragon and then go like Chainlink 1 Savage, Chainlink 2 Wyvern, or he's gonna go into Spheres. Right, like that's like a possibility. He's gonna go into the Spheres, and then if I nib there, it's like too late because I just give him red MD if I nib him. And I was afraid of the Spheres option, so I decided to nib now, just to not give him the chance at all to be able to, you know, have that protection through nib. So I do ahead and decide to drop it there, and he does get the White Dragon effect, and yep, he searches out the Collapse Serpent. And he thinks here, he specs out the Collapse Serpent, and then he goes Battle Phase into the Nib, and he passes. So I find it odd that he committed the Wyvern Burster, or the Collapse Serpent, to the board. Like, he could have definitely held that. Because, like, you're worried about getting OTK'd, like, you're going to get OTK'd through this. Just about as easily as you are going to get OTK'd through the token, which I think currently has... let's see here. It has 1,000, 28, so 48, so 53 defense. So this token's got about 53 defense. So I mean, like, I guess getting rid of the Nibiru off the field, like, I mean, if anything, that just makes drawing Terror Top live. So like, that's not really a smart play. But I am top decking at this point, which sucks. And I top deck an Ash. And yeah, I do have to, unfortunately, admit defeat. I felt like I hand trapped, you know, at the right spot, but like I was top decking, and he had follow up anyways, so it's just like, that hurts quite a bit. And we do have to go to a game 2 here. So now we're in position to kind of get that reverse sweep here. I don't want to go back into the 800s. Rocket Tracer, Veiler, Recharger, Levy, and Ash to my recovery. Marble Machine, Plane, Ash, and Marble Machine. There it is, the doubles. And I normal summon the Marble Machine. He doesn't Ash or Veiler there, luckily, which is nice. We go ahead and spec the Car Turbo. And then we're just obviously going to link into the Rubber Band Shooter here. And my opponent decides to Veiler. I'm like, okay, so Veiler on Rubber Band Shooter. That's completely fine with me. Because there's a couple things I can do here. I can, you know, recovery back the Car Turbo. And then spec the plane, and then make, you know, another Rubber Band Shooter, an additional normal Marble Machine, and then search Second Warg and keep going. Or I could go for the Auroradon route, and I like this route the most because, like, it doesn't hurt, you know, get hurt as much by Ash at any point, because I don't think I ever give him any point to Ash, but it does play into Nib more. So, you know, it's like, what are you more worried about, I guess, at this point? So we go ahead and go for the Auroradon. Auroradon's going to go ahead and spec 3. But I think the advantage with this play specifically is it's going to give me access to Shen Shen, which I really want. Because if I go the other route, we spec the plane, we link the Rubber Band Shooter in the plane and do another one. Normal Marble Machine. If he ashes there, you know, best I make is a Hogoita, right? Which is some level manipulation to keep him from going to certain cards like Chaos Ruler. I guess. That's a stretch, maybe. And then even if I get to, if I get so far as to get to Tekatomborg and he ashes the Tekatomborg, for some reason he doesn't, you know, then I can get to a Crystal Wing with Ash in hand. But I decided I'd rather go with the Shen Shen. And, you know, Also debated on possibly going for Baron here too, because I could have just popped 2 tokens, summoned Tetherwolf, synchroned the level 7 Tetherwolf and the Car Turbo into Baron, and then went pass. But Shen I know is a extremely strong card against this deck, and I decided to summon in defense too, because like if he had Droplet, you know, Droplet only cuts attack in half, not defense, so it would make it harder for him to actually clear the Shen if he negated it, right? Because negating it's one thing, but, you know, being able to remove it from the field is another, because otherwise it's just going to turn back on in the following turn. So he draws Rocket Recharger for turn. Not a stellar draw for him. I mean, normal summons, it gets banished. He goes for the Striker Dragon. I decided to let this here go through. Which, you know, looking back, had I ashed that Striker Dragon, his turn actually ends. So, like, sometimes it's weird. Sometimes denying them access to something like that, because I can just, you know, boot or Tracer, but, like, that puts them on already having, like, Tracer in hand, which is a lot to ask for. But then again, they play 3 Tracer, 3 Quick Launch, so technically not a lot. But yeah, technically ashing there, you know, again, especially since he burned his normal summon on something like Recharger, as weak as a normal summon as that is. But he decides, you know, commit the boot sector, spec the Tracer, and he takes a good while to think here. And then he decides to go link 2 into Seals. And he goes good old Seals Pass. Yeah, Seals Pass. So at this point, I'm definitely in the driver's seat. And I'm just trying to think what's the most optimal way to navigate here. And there was some confusion here I had. I didn't really understand what was happening. He said destroying, and then I was like, wait, what do you mean? So I keep playing. So for a second, I thought, like, he wasn't using the bouncing effect of Seals, but, like, at the same time, it doesn't make sense because I was ready to ash it. Yeah, because I didn't realize the Auroradon effect didn't target. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I still have to destroy something. So obviously, we just target the boot. We put that back, and then obviously I commit this, you know, well, once he decides that he's going to declare the seal effect, where I decide to ash, because I think that's a correct ash through and through. Don't want to let him get a body on field for follow-up. Not that I think it would have mattered too much because of Shen, but either way, we're going to grab Car Turbo, or, well, try to grab Car Turbo. He's going to ash the Marble Machine. But luckily enough for me, we do have Recovery Engrave. That is going to go ahead and add me the Car Turbo here. And interestingly enough, he decides to scoop there. That wasn't going to be game, because I could have specced out the Car Turbo, made Chambara, attacked for 22, 24, and 28, and then returned something afterwards. Maybe a Duke to spec something else if I had, like, another Tuner Engrave. Yeah, I don't know if that would have been game there. Yeah, 22, 24, that's 46. That's 66, that's 74. So that would have been just shy of game, and I wouldn't have been able to, you know, resolve Car Turbo because it would have gotten banished trying to synchro for the Chambara in the first place. But, you know, I get why he scooped. He doesn't have an answer to Shen, and I basically put him on a 1-turn clock, so that's why I wanted to go for the Shen route, because I know how good it is against this deck, and my opponent's like, forgot to remove IO from this list. I'm like, oh boy, I wonder what he's trying to do. Is he trying to throw me off here? But, you know, I open up a pretty stacked hand. We have Gamma, Veiler, Ash, plus Wheel and Duke. Really, really strong hand to my opponent's Dasher, Quick Launch, Antispell, Chaos Space, and Veiler. So he opened up big yikes here. Leads with a Quick Launch. And a lot of times I find, like, if Dragon Link is usually, like, I don't want to say this is, like, you know, always the case, but a lot of times I play against Dragon Link, I feel like every time they've started with Quick Launch, their hand has been very, very fragile. He's going to spec out Tracer, and he's going to go ahead and link here into the Striker Dragon. I'm going to Veiler this, deny him access to boot, and then he's going to leave with Chaos Space. And I decide to ash. I see him pitch the Veiler, and I'm like, okay. So he's pitching a hand trap here. He doesn't have more extenders. Now, if he would have pitched something like Nocto, or not Nocto, like Absorouter, I would have been like, okay, that's a bit of a different story. His hand might be a little bit better than I think it is. So I decide to ash that. Now he's got 2 cards left in hand. He sets one. I'm like, okay, that might be tidying. I didn't really expect Anti-Spell. He goes Standby Phase, Anti-Spell, and then I Chain Wheel. and we go ahead and discard the Duke there. We draw a card for turn. So drawing the card for turn is nice because it doesn't matter what I roll. I could roll a 1, and I think I do roll. Yeah, I roll for fun, and I roll a 1. So it was a 2, and a 1 on those last couple of rolls there. But we end up winning, and that takes us up to 920 rating. And that is where we end the season, and I'll be using this next, like, week or so of time. And trust me, if you like this series, don't worry, that time will go by fast. I've got some other content going up to practice more new format, practice this new build I've been working on. And when we start season 2, we'll be on the ladder at 100 rating, fresh start with that new build, and we'll be able to test it out and you know, see how that build works out in this random sort of competitive setting, and be able to get a lot of information and valuable data from that. So I'm very, very excited to do that, to like see how this new build is going to perform in like real time against random decks, and see how quickly we can climb too. And also, since I know people are going to ask, let me show you guys a little bit of that replay from the previous match where the guy quit. Yeah, so here in this one, my opponent was 514 to my 893, and this is the last one I needed to win. And you see his opening hand, like he's playing Galactic Spiral Dragon, Levy, Red MD in the opening hand, and I have, you know, Ash, Ultra Hound, Nib, Griffin Rider, Ultra Hound. And I actually do mess up here. I forget to go Griffin Rider, then Nib. I forgot about that interaction entirely. So yeah, I'll just let this one run through here since I don't want to take up too much time. I then Ash the, you know, Ravine there. And then he tries to get to access to Chaos Ruler, and then I Nib. And I forget to Griffin Rider, and that was actually a big mistake. And then my opponent is going to Levy me, and he puts back the Griffin Rider. I'm like, alright, well, I guess it just kind of makes it like it didn't happen. I know he had the Tiding, so I crash, and then main phase 2, we normal Hound, you know, dump Gate, get our free Link 2, and I have the Recovery in hand, which I get the Marble Machine too. So I'm like, I got Terror Top and Grave, Recovery in hand. So yeah, this is like a really, really solid combo we've already got going. I know everything at this point, so I'm playing super greedy, spec the car, summon out that, go Piper for 4, and then he scoops there when he sees the Veiler. And I think this is the, yeah, so this is the game. I thought it happened in game 1, but this is the game actually. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys so what happened to actually let me get over 900. This is the actual game. Like my opponent's hand doesn't seem too terrible. Yeah, he adds white, and then he goes Chaos Space, put back Chaos Space into emit defeat. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I mean, I did have Nib, but unfortunately, I already had access to seals at that point. My hand was pretty good. We had Marble, Tekatomborg, and Card, so that Banished level 7 play would have came up. I don't know. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for all the support on the series as well. More is coming as soon as the new ban list gets implemented here on Dueling Book. More Master Duel stuff coming, and other deck profiles, and hopefully some live duels soon as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, check out the ways to support the channel in the description. And if you guys want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping at the bottom of the screen right now. And as always, when Kill signing out, we'll see you guys in the next one. And like always, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members, and they are Tweeter0226, Pony Start, Cadillacs84, Key Sitters, and Black Ninja Money. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely generous support of the channel.